In a world where fandoms thrive and passions run deep, there exists a paradox. A paradox that we, James, Mike, and Chris, are here to explore and unravel. Welcome to the Nerdy Paradox.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to what is a premiere podcast edition of the Nerdy Paradox. What's that, you may say? But I remember these guys from another place. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, because this is our new home. It's me, James Raw, your hostess, with the mostest, and a very dodgy chest, so if I sound a bit shite, that's why. I'm joined by my ever favourable colleagues and side cohorts, Rudy Manchego.
Hello.
And Squiddy P joining us all the way from Canada. Oh, guys, what are we doing here? This is not our former abode. What's happening?
You guys phoned me up to get on Discord. That's what you said. Get on Discord
yes,
right now.
That's it. Yes. Presuming by the time this goes out, Rudy will have actually finished editing our intro audio monologue shtick thing, and that will be available in the links down below. If you've not perused it, please do. Basically, we have started our own little channel and entrepreneurial site, the Nerdy Paradox. You want to know more about it? Well, that's not what we're here for right now, because we're just going to crack on with a Sodcast, because we're sods. I think that's why we came up with the name Sodcast.
It felt appropriate.
Yeah.
British thing to say, so
yeah, and Mike's not even British, so you know. For anyone who doesn't know, you weren't around with us in our previous endeavours. Hopefully, between now and whenever you decide to unsubscribe, presume you've already subscribed to us, please do. It's always nice. You'll learn a bit more about myself, James Raw, and Rudy Manchego, and you don't want to talk to him too much. He's he's weird. And he collects handhelds. Weirdos. And Squiddy P, who has one of the best darn smoking jackets. I can't remember what they were called in the business.
The house code. It's just a robe.
A robe. I like
Robe.
that. Right. A robe. We won't do too much of taking up your time with telling you who we are, because again, we've got an audio video. That doesn't even make sense. But we've got one of them already.
Honestly, no. We're three fucking nerds who talk shit about video games, and we really love them, and that's pretty much the gist. There's not a whole
There you go.
Thank you for jumping in. I was rambling. Yes. Yes, that's Squiddy P added. Thank you. We're going to talk about... Rudy, what are we going to talk about?
Well, it's the end of the year when we're recording this, so by the time you listen to this, it'll be 2024. But 2023 was a year, and we're going to ask the question: is the games and entertainment industry okay?
You guys need help?
That's the yeah. Like, are you guys? Do we need to send a care package? I don't know. Like, what's the deal? And to talk about, because it's been a great year in many ways.
Great.
Absolutely awesome. And it's also been an absolutely fucking terrible year in a lot of other ways. So what's going on?
I'm not to jump too far in, but like, if you've just grazing interest and you've heard the word Gollum, you probably know a little bit about what we're talking about.
And sadly, Gollum's not even the worst offender of the year, is it?
That's like quite low on my list. I've got a list.
Anyway, from the beginning, I'm just teaser.
So our plan was we talk about like why it's been a good year, because we want to be balanced. We don't want to be total naysayers. It's been, for me personally, a great year in games, great year in media and entertainment. Some absolute bangers.
I've enjoyed the shit out of the games I've played this year. There've been some absolute gems.
What's everyone got on their lists of stuff that's been made it memorable?
I mean,
Sorry.
Go on.
Oh, damn.
He put his hand up, yes.
Oh, yeah. Is there a talking stick? Can we pass it? Or can I pass it like through?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, we'll have one on for the next episode.
I've got it. You guys can't have it.
And through the camera. I don't know how that works, but we'll make it. Armored Core 6 was dope from Software. There's been an Armored Core game in a long fucking time.
Forever.
I gotta be honest. I'm not a huge Armored Core fan, but I saw mechs and I'm gonna say the last mech game that came out because there's been like
Not many.
BattleTech.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty scarce genre. Anyways, Armored Core 6 had a dope trailer. We're all stoked for it.
Games like I played Final Fantasy 16, which was just incredibly long but ridiculously entertaining. And
I played RoboCop Rogue City.
yeah,
which
me too.
is
That was an absolute treat.
it's immensely good. Like
Tears
so
of
much
the,
better.
Tears of the Kingdom. I put again over 100 hours into that game. That was amazing. Super Mario Brothers Wonder 2D platformer, awesome as well. And loads of great indie titles as well. We'll probably just focus a bit on the the
Phantom Liberty too.
yeah, Cyberpunk. But and I want to come
back.
back. And I want to come back to CD Projekt Red. Okay, I'm going to come back to that point because Phantom Liberty updates to the base game as well. Free updates, great stuff. If you're a Cyberpunk fan, or you're on the fence, coming back to it. I know a few people that went off it when it launched and then have come back to it and gone, "Damn, this is good."
It's actually a good game now.
Yeah, this is a really quality game.
Starfield 2.
If you want to, I mean, that wasn't on my list, but
I mean, it's a controversial one, but
It's certainly a game that came out this year.
yeah, it's weird one. It's a bit of a Marmite game. I know some people that have put hundreds of hours into it. Like some guys I work with put hundreds of hours into it and think it's brilliant. I played through the story multiple times, and then a lot of people like me who played it for 4 or 5 hours went, and just fell off it.
It's definitely a Marmite game, and even I'm enjoying it. It's my go-to thing that I'm going on for Game Pass on the Steam Deck, and I'm still like, I really wish this was better, but I still find myself going back to it. So there's got to be some sort of enjoyment I'm taking out of it.
it's got problems. But
Damn you, Todd.
nothing wrong with constructive criticism, enjoying something, but also wishing it can be better simultaneously.
Yeah, but it's been just some really random cool stuff. Like in the indie world, you got Dredge, was a fantastic game.
Dredge is
Coffee Talk Episode 2 is one of my favourites.
Dave the Diver. Yes.
Yeah.
Dave the Diver is actually really fucking good. Like really good.
Yeah, I played
Talk about that, James.
Last Worker was one of my favourites. Nice little indie game, also great in VR. Planet Alana was great.
There's this really great little survival game. It looked kind of like The Last of Us. The Last.
I'm waiting.
Mouse.
The Last. I don't actually. Okay.
Last of Them.
The Last Survivor. The Last.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Brilliant.
Good year for DLC as well. I normally I piss on DLC, but Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, God of War, Valhalla. Yeah.
Right, hang on, one sec, right? With Mike just saying that was this year, right? That shows how much good shit's come out this year.
Yeah, it's really hard to remember.
I mean, it is surprising actually.
Metroid Prime Remastered, because I'm a huge Metroid fan. That was Shadow dropped and was just fantastic. Really, Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, how did we forget talking about Resident Evil 4?
Exactly.
Dead Space remake was this year too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then there's also been just
So
outside of games, we've had things like a decent, regardless of opinion, a decent video game several related spin-offs that have been really, really good. I'm going to go with The Last of Us TV show. Was a pretty good series for based on a video game. Not saying it's the best, but it was not
For an adaptation.
It was not a cluster like almost every other video game adaptation, and it brought more people into the game genre. My wife absolutely loved the heck out of it. Like, I could see why you played the game that much. If it was a fraction as good as the TV show. I was like, yes, thank you. Finally, some respect for the medium that I love.
Super Mario Bros. Movie
Super Mario Bros.
was
actually
a lot better than it should have been.
Yeah, and one of the biggest box office hits of all time.
Because I know a couple people who despised it. They thought it was just slog. They thought it was really I'm not personally shitting on it. I'm aware that
there was
there's people on both sides.
But I mean,
people really
the last time they tried a Super Mario Brothers film, I
No.
was a kid.
No.
And it didn't go very well. So I mean,
We're not starting as we mean to go on here. No, I'm not having this. I'm not having Bob Hoskins shitting on.
No. I'm
having
just
this.
saying. Sorry. From a box office perspective, it didn't go very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Whereas
the
Super Mario Brothers the movie is like top 3 or 4 films of this year, one of the top animated films of all time.
All I'm saying is it gives me less nightmares than the older one, and we'll leave it at that. I mean,
Yeah, but that's what childhood's about, is nightmares.
Cue
but, you
the
know.
image of Yoshi from the Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie.
There's so many. Just pause any frame in that film and just see nightmare fuel. It's really most of it.
Yeah.
Terrified. Terrified. You know. So yeah, what an amazing and like a lot of good films as well, and really sort of surprise hits, like which has been great. You know, stuff like go with like Oppenheimer, Godzilla minus. There are some really big critical successes and darlings. Return of some really long grown up films in cinemas. Napoleon. What else? What was the other one that was really big? Killers of the Flower Moon. And what? Oh, he's got a filter on. It's going badly.
Got it, so it's not attached. So I'll just hold it.
You look like you're a 1940s broadcaster, but it's fine. There's been, it's good to bother. A lot of great stuff. Yeah, really good year for media content.
No, absolutely. It's been contrastingly. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now.
But yeah, it's been a very, very interesting year with some like high highs and some low lows. And yeah, where do we want to start on this?
Well, we've dabbled into what's good about the year with like a whistle stop tour. However, for those lovely clickbait views, I think we should probably talk about the entities that came out that aren't that good, that make you turn to Jeff Keighley, to Disney, and to HBO, that'll do, and say, are you guys all right? Because what's happening?
Time to talk about Kong.
No, do we have to start there? Right, okay.
No, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
Let's talk big stuff. Here's some figures for you. Yeah, just in the games industry alone, just going to tell you this. Can anyone guess how much money the games industry made in 2023, or was projected to have made by the end of this year? The official figures obviously come out next financial year, but how much they think the revenue for the games industry was?
Does this also include mobile? Because that's the...
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, includes everything. Anything produced by a games publisher or studio.
Ballpark figure, $12 billion.
No, not even close. 800 billion, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I mean, that,
okay.
Yeah.
Up here to James, quite a bit lower than Mike. $249.6 billion.
Wow. Wow.
That is, and it's expected, that's a growth from previous periods, and it's expected between 2023 and 2028 to grow year on year to a total of 9.32% growth in the industry. So a lot of money is being made. Some big figures as well. EA made 1.3 billion profit. Just 2023 it's estimated. Yeah. Tim Sweeney, head of Epic, is hard to value, but he's been valued at $10 billion worth individually.
And he's still fucking crying. Sorry.
So yeah. And do you want to know something really depressing? Okay. Where do you think most of that growth is coming from, or is going to projected to come from? Two revenue sources, both geographical and also entertainment based. By the way, links for all these figures, I'm not just putting them out my back when I am, but they are all from smarter people that I've copied from. So links will be in the description of where I've got all this from, so you can check out my maths. Where do you think the growth factors are coming from?
Oh, I don't know. Put me out of my misery and tell me.
A, China.
Oh, yes.
B, in-app advertising.
Really?
The biggest chunk of revenue comes not from physical sales, doesn't come necessarily from DLC, doesn't necessarily come from else, or even microtransactions. It's in-app advertising.
You know what?
Obviously in the mobile space largely, but also anywhere that streams or shows content. Or
you know what that kind of unfortunately hints at? They're totally... It's inevitable, but eventually they're going to try shoving that shit in the full-price games. Eventually we'll start seeing it in menus and stuff like that. Anywhere that they can just like squeeze it in. If if that's a big moneymaker for them, then they're going to try to
Yeah.
look for and find new avenues.
I mean, we've
But I
already
suppose-
seen that start to creep in when just before
2K.
Assassin's Creed Mirage came out. Ubisoft was they had some problems going on, wherein in-game adverts for Mirage were popping up in, say, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they were supposed to go. For anyone who's played an Assassin's Creed or even a Ubisoft game, they do like to put little like trailers like up there, like, oh look, here's another one of our games coming up. Instead, what they did was like big full-blown on-screen advert going on. Instead of on the menu where they intended it to happen, like on a loading screen or just like a transitional screen. It's like, oh yeah, advert. It's like, no, that's no. They were apologetic about that though. So
Yeah, we got
Yeah, because
caught.
they got called out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like we're sorry. You guys weren't supposed to see that. Yeah,
Insert South Park. We're
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah, it's exactly.
And to all those affected, I want to say, we are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. I'm deeply sorry. Sorry.
Exactly that. And it's so that's what my point was, is that, you know, there's money in them there are hills. This is an industry that's contracting. It's not like, you know, some industries that have contracted in recent years. This is still a growth sector. Yay. So that's all good stuff. But at the same time, it's been a pretty shitty year for a lot of other things, which has been a huge amount of layoffs, studio closures. I think it's been estimated that at least 7,000 jobs in game production have been lost in this last year that's been like recorded and stuff like that. And that's going to be a conservative estimate. It's going to be more than that, but this is what you tally them up. And here's the names of some of the studios who have made quite heavy, significant layoffs. Microsoft, across all its studios.
ironically,
Bungie, CD Projekt Red, EA, Epic, Telltale, BioWare, Embracer, we'll come to them in a second, the naughty monkeys,
yes.
Volition, Amazon, and many others, but those are some of the names. These ones have all laid off over 50 to 100 people, at least, in the game production divisions. So remember what I said about EA making 1.3 billion in gross profit and also declaring that they're in financial strength? They laid off 700 staff this year.
Didn't those layoffs come like the week after they announced
Exactly
their
that, yeah.
profits?
So, I mean,
it just speaks for itself. Like,
out of interest, though,
also
the CEO of EA did post record bonus for himself, though, which would have paid for those 700 staff several years running. But hey,
Hey, on the
You
bright
know.
side, and unrelated, but Bobby Kotick got laid off with a giant golden parachute.
I mean,
Laid
yeah.
off, but still, everyone's
He's-
cheering for it. But it's like, well,
He's still
No.
there. but
yeah. Also, it's a little bit like, you know, it's a little bit like, you know, cheering, you know, Palpatine getting disfigured, you know, in Revenge of the Sith. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, he does
he
look a bit ugly
retired.
now, but he's still pretty successful, isn't he? He's still won.
well, that's it.
It's like, okay.
yeah, the damage is still done.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like he's still in charge. You know, I mean, that's the key. And Bobby Kotick is you know, one of the top billionaires in the US. One that, you know, he will be back in some capacity at a major
Yeah.
organization if he wants to.
Yeah.
He'll start his own one. He's just crazy. But yeah, so that's not all. Across the whole entertainment sector, you had the writers' strike, you know, the guild, the Writers Guild, like SAG-AFTRA and the Actors Guild in the US going on strike for a large period, shutting down a lot of productions, which in turn has caused a lot of cancellations of TV shows and films. And a bunch of studios of like Warner Brothers have canned entire movies that were finished to write off on the tax rather than release a shitter. Disney have had its
we gotta
worst
complain
year.
about Final Space right quick there. James,
no,
come on, yeah.
no.
It just straight up almost doesn't
just-
exist. You can't buy it in
Oh.
physical. It won't be streamed anymore, and it's for a tax write-off. And
It's so sad.
It just ceases to exist unless you pirate it, and That's just fucked up.
This is a massive trend because one of the problems of the strikes was that, and this affects all entertainment industry, is the concept of residuals, which is that people don't necessarily make their money from the initial contract, but every time a TV show is sold on somewhere to another sort of renewal or whatever, actors, contributors get a small cut of the money, not a huge amount, but it's a recurring revenue which keeps them alive, basically. But that costs money, obviously. So if something hasn't performed, do what Disney done, which was, and a lot of other streaming services, which is just take it off your service, and you don't, if it's not on your platform anymore, no residuals. So, for example, the TV show Willow, based upon one of my childhood favourite films, admittedly, probably not the reboot a lot of fans are waiting for. However, that is now within months was expunged from the service. Everyone that worked on that is going to get no money from that ever again, despite dedicating several years of their life to producing it.
His name's Warwick, or correct me if I'm wrong, but he actually made statements about being kind of like disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, because whether you like something or not, people do put years of their life into working from it, spend months, stuff like that, and you can think of like the big name actors and go like, well, I'm sure like this person doesn't need the money. I'm sure this person doesn't need the money. Probably not, but that extra in the background, or that person has a walk-on part for 2 or 3 episodes, says a few words. They're the ones that need the money. They're the ones that get checks every year for like 2, 3, 4 grand or something, that along with their other work pays them to be the actors.
Retention, like for audiences, like for example, if James or I ever just want to watch this again, like in this particular example of Final Space, like there are no physical copies. We can't own it. We can't even support it if we want to. So we are forced to pirate it or find it somewhere online. I just think that avenue kind of sucks. That there's no option whatsoever.
Well, we're also seeing across things like Sony the announcement that they have kind of semi-reversed their decision, bought digital content is being removed from the platform. People are going to lose access to stuff they've bought, and they've kind of gone back and said, "Oh, don't worry, we're not going to do that for a bit." But so that's just one thing. You're starting to see that with some digital storefront games and stuff like that becoming unavailable, unworkable.
I could have noticed that. I noticed that just the other day, actually. I wanted to play Kingdom Under Fire 2. They turned Kingdom Under Fire into like an MMO light kind of thing, and it was straight up not playable. They shut servers down, and I only put like 20 hours, 30 hours into it, like around launch, and it wasn't the greatest game ever. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll come back to it and it'll be better, kind of thing. But I honestly kind of feel like, because I read a little bit about it, and they ran this game. They launched it in Asia before here, and pretty much the same thing happened, and they shut servers down. So it's just like, so they just relaunched it here, scooped everyone's money, just to know that they're gonna shut servers down. And I understand that's the nature of online games and stuff.
Well, but that's also a bit of a scam, isn't it? Let's be honest.
That's kind of what I felt. It was like, and you can't return it. But you're shit out of luck because servers just aren't running, so you paid money for something that you just.
Yeah, I think this 2023 is the year where digital ownership turns out to be that it never was ownership. It was if it wasn't clear before, you don't own it. You are renting it.
Saying that's been floating around. If I don't own, or if buying isn't ownership, then
piracy, isn't theft. Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's an interesting one. I don't think we'll hold up in court. So for anyone willing, any listeners who are thinking, I'm going to take this to the extreme, we wouldn't,
Do not cite the Nerdi paradox as your legal defence, because we will not hold up in court just in case you decide to go down that route.
Bad, don't emulate stuff you don't own, blah, blah, blah.
Legal disclaimer, we don't encourage piracy of any kind. We don't know of any ROM sites that you could get games from. We don't know of emulators themselves that you can use, etc., etc., etc.
Rudy's barely conscious through this.
Rudy's like, fuck, I've got more pirate shit than fucking Jack Sparrow, mate.
By that you mean, pirate isn't like R, like
obviously.
Because I've been spending a lot of time in the Red Sea recently. No, it's a cool joke. Everyone's catching up on that.
God damn it!
Going on. And stuff like massive amounts of consolidation of people buying everything up available. Anything that's not nailed down, big publishers are buying, which is also really, you could argue say that's a good thing. Some people like to see it, but actually, practically, it's what fuels layoffs. etc.
Yes.
You know, you buy something. You know, it's like buying when you buy like people buy like a publisher or studios en masse. They're kind of like going to like a a kind of flea market and buying a box of stuff, and in that they know there's some really good things they want, but there's a bunch of stuff they don't want.
Yeah.
And what they do is they cherry pick what they want. You know,
Well,
Microsoft wants Call of Duty, that IP. It wants the Blizzard like names of World of Warcraft. It doesn't necessarily want a bunch of other stuff that's being worked on that is fit their portfolio. So those studios, as they already have done, will start getting chopped, like they did with the stuff for Bethesda. They've chopped a bunch of services there they didn't want eventually because that wasn't what they bought it for.
Yeah, and then we got Redfall.
Oh shit! Okay, yeah, Redfall. Also, at some point we got to come full circle and we got to talk about the good stuff. Like
The good stuff, like the fact that live service games are fucking going. Finally,
that's good. Yeah,
that's great shit.
Yes,
it is.
We're still on the negative, so we'll yeah.
I mean, when it works really well. But companies think that they can just. I'm going somewhere with this. They think that they can just like, oh, it's a live service game, and not actually commit to being a live service developer. Fucking Halo 343 Infinite.
but I mean,
Still
even
mad
some
at
of the, I mean, even with a lot of experience. I mean, like Bungie's had an absolutely disastrous year. You know, from a point of view of revenue and have laid off huge amounts of staff. And you could argue that they have a very successful online, shooter after a shaky start. Destiny 2 is still bringing in a fair amount of players. I'm not saying it's up there, and they're very, I know there's a lot of rocky road, but I would chalk them in the success stories. They're not the Battleborn sort of, closures or whatever. Which one was the one with the gravity? What's the one from Cliff Blazinski's one that closed down within months? Was it Gravity or something? It was something. There was low gravity in the game. I can't remember what it's called. Lawbreakers.
Yeah, it was that one that's like Portal meets Destiny, isn't it?
Yeah. So is it Lawbreakers? Someone Google it for me.
Something like that,
I can't multitask. But Destiny 2 is in the success camp. I'm not saying it's Fortnite, but it's in there. It's not Fortnite.
It's still making money for the people that have made us.
It was enough of a draw to get Sony to buy them. Not solely for Destiny, but for the experience and the knowledge of live service. But you're right. Live services are struggling. Diablo 4's struggled. Lawbreakers. I was right.
I hate the fact, I was on the tip of my tongue, just kind of.
But
no, I just want to say on the topic of Bungie. Sorry, just while we're there, I thought it was funny that the general consensus was that once they got away from Activision, it was going to be better, and it was just like everyone was pointing the finger at Activision, like, you're the reason this game's getting greedy. It's your fault that the monetization's weird. And then Bungie gets away from them, and it actually gets worse and like grabbier than ever. And they add like starter packs with straight up gear and shit like that. Okay, fuck, they learned nothing.
Yeah, because ultimately they're a big studio that needs money, and they're an independent business, therefore they've got to post profits and be attractive, and clearly that's why they ended up wanting to get bought out by Sony, who has been quite clear that their intention is to go all in on more live service. They want live services.
Yes, but as part of the was it the Microsoft? Yes, the Microsoft Activision merger acquisition is the actual word I want to use there. One of the documents that came out about it was the fact that 3 of their proposed 6 upcoming live service games have already been cancelled, which is great news.
The Last of Us.
Yes,
The Last of Us, which is the famous one. But because it's dead hard to make it successful. Like, it's a huge risk. The rewards are there, but it's a huge risk.
Did you guys? Sorry.
Go on. No, go on, Mike.
No, I was going to slightly pivot topic, so if you just wanted to say something.
My opinion on live service games, they can work, and I'm thinking things that have a yearly release schedule, so like your Call of Duties, your sports games, what was FIFA and is now, what is it, EAFC, something stupid like that. The things that have a yearly release schedule, but they're basically the same game each year, just with a different cover star. They're your live service games. Just work on them and just update them as the year comes out.
And MMOs and stuff with multiplayer aspect. Yeah.
I mean, that's Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, did you guys see how like Insomniac Games is pretty much now just the Marvel studio
Yes.
for all
Yes.
their upcoming, not
Um,
all, but I think they have of their 6 projects in the next however many years, 4 of them are Marvel and 2 are.
Yes. Which is alluding to the Insomniac hack. You should try saying that. That's interesting ones to get your teeth around.
Insomniac.
Insomniac that happened
Coined it.
when we're recording. It was earlier this week. We're recording 23rd of December 2023, so earlier this week. It's wrong.
Yeah, and there's also been a fair share of stinkers, which go into the finding of some pretty poor games. The kind of the flip side from the quality has been some really notable misses as well. I don't ever like to necessarily shit on games because people still make them and they still put a lot of work in them and it's like easy to do. But
Apart from these ones, because they fucking.
but at the same time, you're kind of like and I'm going into Nicky office. I'm going somewhere with this, which is that again, games released when they shouldn't have been released. They weren't in a state. Got them. Or conceptually shouldn't have gone much further.
Well, no, I with Gollum, I don't even think it's a case of they released it when it wasn't ready. I think they just released it because they got to a point where like, fuck it, because they've been working on that for about 5-6 years, something like that, and then
That's the part that kind of it looks like they restarted development. Maybe a year and a half ago. Like.
Because everything you saw, 2020, 2021, where we saw like the proper trailers come out for it, and then they look beautiful. And I know they're trailers.
That was all concept bullshit, or like the Division trailer back in the day.
And this is where I'm going, is that what's actually really emerged between a lot of these titles has been, and across the games industry as well, which is consistent mismanagement of projects. And studios and resource and everything, and the kind of what we're seeing is that as more and more people are coming forward and they talk about unionization, all that kind of stuff, is because the average game devs are just being shit on constantly. And I think 2023 has been a real pivotal year for seeing behind the scenes and going, okay, then, someone said you're absolutely right. Someone clearly restarted Gollum's development a year ago, or changed it. And it's like, okay, whose idea was that? Okay, great idea, guys. Let's pivot that. Work people to death to get it out anyway, because they crunched for that game to get it out.
Yeah, they did.
Get it out and then close the studio down because it's rubbish.
Right? No way.
There's
not in that current state, anyways. That's not 6. That's not what 6 years looks like.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of, it's the same thing that happened with like some really big fails. Sort of behind the scenes, like Anthem. Anthem had actually been in real dev for a year and a half before it was released.
BioWare.
BioWare famed for doing that.
Like it's a show, but like what 6 years looks like is Netflix's League of Legends Arcane show. 6 years looks like a fuckload of passion. That's what that looks like. And I get they're non-comparable because one's show production, but still, like 6 years is a long time, and when you use that well, it shows.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 possibly wanting to go down as one of the greatest games launched in any year. I've not played it
yet
because I haven't played it
because we're getting the shit out of the way so we can end on the positive.
So we can loop back.
That's 6+ years of passion with a clear strategic aim for the product and play testing and all the stuff in there that goes with it to make it as good. That's an exception. I'm not saying all games can follow the model that Larian were able to do with Baldur's Gate 3, but just going out there. But yeah, you're right. It's like you're seeing a lot of people spending a lot of time and money. And the other thing I want to touch on is the budget for video games and movies and everything. So, for example, Disney is in a really bad way with its movies at the moment, its main movies. Not because they haven't made any money, but because the budgets have been crushingly huge. They want to guess how much the recent Little Mermaid film cost before marketing.
Before marketing? No.
Before marketing.
No, I don't even... No. With Disney money.
$300 million it cost to make that film.
That's actually what I was gonna guess, and I was gonna start there because like that sounds dumb.
And an estimated $100 to $150 million on marketing. So you're talking nearly $500 million to break even theatrically. So you've got to practically be, to make any real money, you've got to almost be like top 10 films, top 20 films of all time, gross pulling to make any real kind of profit. Now there is things like toys and all that kind of stuff coming to it, but $300 million is an insane amount of money for a film. And that's not the only film they released. Indiana Jones cost $350 million, I think.
The original Lord of the Rings trilogy was, all three of them, I think, run for about 120 million. I think it was actually.
Yeah, if you adjust it for inflation, they cost about 200 million each a piece. Still. But $600 million of today's money produce a trilogy. Pretty good money.
Or basically the same amount to do one.
Yeah, or
not very good movie.
And same with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, like $250 million it costs to make.
Yeah, so little money costs more than the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So you've got to make surefire hits, and it's happened the same with the game industry as well. Like the average game budget now for a massive AAA title is $300 million.
Yeah,
because it takes 3 to 4 to 5 years of 2, 3, 4, 500 people working flat out to make it. It's just insane money, which isn't maintainable. You can't get growth like that. But
well, they think they can if they keep ratcheting prices up and finding new ways to charge us, but it's going to be a give and take situation between the customer and the consumer and the seller.
Which, another loop around, I saw, it was either this morning or yesterday, again from the leaked documents for the Microsoft acquisition, or actually this could have been from the Insomniac patent pending, trademark registered, all that jazz, about the fact that Sony has plans to make the average, I don't know if it's first party game or just like games released on PlayStation platform, go from the current RRP, which is $70,
$69.99, I think. Yeah,
$70 up to $80 to $100 per game, like just the standard retail edition, which is no.
I'm at the point where I'm already going to grey markets to buy new games.
Yeah,
but I'm at the point where I don't like. I'm a big, I love a PlayStation 5 and console games now. Where I won't buy a game on launch because I can't justify, in the UK £70 or
it's absurd
because it's a risk and I'm not going to take that risk. I understand people say like, oh, well, they need more money. It's like, no, they don't, because I'm not getting any more game for what a year or two ago.
Oh, but the quality's better.
You'll see it here on the Nerdy Paradox. It was an article that I wrote at when we were at Any Button Gaming.
Check it out.
Where you'll see it on the website Nerdy Paradox, where I did a breakdown of the $70 price jump when 2K did it, and everyone else started to follow suit. And the article is how it is unjustifiable, specifically even on digital, where we're still eating the cost for distribution and physical discs and cases and all that kind of stuff, and they don't reduce the costs. And I'm starting to ramble, so
no, yeah, it's a good point to ramble on, because it's just so expensive, and it's so unjustifiably expensive that I can't help but think that it is going to do a longer term damage to the games industry. I mean, and here's my viewpoint, which is that if games are too expensive,
Hollow Knight is the winning point here.
If games are too expensive, I would suggest make them cheaper. And I don't mean that in a kind of like, just do the same thing. I mean, for example, God of War Ragnarok had a huge budget. I can't remember top of my head what it was, but it was a massive budget AAA title. That is a 50, 60 hour game if you do everything in it without the DLC. Doesn't need to be that long.
No.
The quality, we're in a position where, budgets are ballooning, but games are ballooning in size. I think
it's not. I don't think it bloats in a Valhalla kind of way. Like a game like that, it is of such high quality that I personally find myself just itching for more. So if the game is going to provide me more, I'm okay with that, and I feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck as long as it's like
yeah.
I think the thing is your buck is more because of the amount of bang they're putting in it. Does that make sense? There's a lot of banging going on in this analogy. No, what I mean is that it's like. What I'm saying is that if one of the justifications is that it costs, game budgets are too high, you know, and
Reduce the
let's take
budgets, reduce the price.
reduce the price
Yeah.
because ultimately be a bit more economical with it. Because my example I'm going to go to as well this year, one of my favourite games is James RoboCop Rogue City, what will be considered a classical AA title, fraction of the production budget. I can't remember, but it's, you know, compared to those titles, it was a good 20-hour game, give or take if you do all the side stuff. A bit short if you just follow the story.
Yeah.
Perfectly satisfied with that. I'm not saying, you know, everything doesn't be that length, but I'm saying that hopefully that game will be very profitable because it hasn't got a crazy budget. It's not shooting for the skies. It's
You know what?
shooting
I'm
for
playing Trepang 2 right now, and not like right now because I'm talking to you guys, but you know, little, maybe even indie, but yeah, AA little Canadian fear-inspired shooter, and I think it was like under $20, something like that. And I gotta be honest, I do agree with you that for an extra, like, if they want to slap another $15 on that and give me an extra 10 hours a game or something, I'm down with that. But
it's a choice. If you've got a choice to be made there, I guess that's one thing where you've got the ability to kind of say it. But I'm just sort of saying is that if the budgets are so high, people keep saying it's unsustainable, we've got to put the price up. It's only unsustainable. People aren't saying, I need my games to be larger, I need my games to be more epic, I need more ray tracing, I need all these things.
You just want the games to be better. You don't want. You don't necessarily need all the Rockstar realistic horse testicle
right?
physics going on.
Yeah.
You just want a better game.
But that's
Better.
kind of better is subjective. Like Ubisoft, I think thought that they were making a better game, quote unquote, when they made Valhalla as big as it was, and then they kind of realized, okay, well maybe that's not what
It's
the
been
thing
true, man.
better is, you know. So I think sometimes the intentions are good, and maybe the way they
it's just that, it's that kind of thing of, you know, it's, you can't have your cake and eat it. You can say, oh, budgets are
Absolutely,
getting so
yeah.
ridiculously high. Just like, wow, and some, you know, then your scope is too big. If you can't afford to do the scope that you're doing, you have to reduce the scope.
Can I segue, Luke, to the beginning?
Yes.
Are we ready for that?
Cyberpunk
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for a
2077
segue.
And Phantom Liberty, right? So scale of 2077 was so big that it kind of dwarfed its own launch, and
I mean,
now
that's not the only thing that dwarfed 2077's launch, but I know what you're trying to say. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
other. Hey, you know what? No, again, like, you know what? I did a review of it. I had one bug, and it wasn't game breaking, and it affected a single quest where I had to kill all the enemies in an area, and there was one guy that glitched through the floor. That was it for me. I played on Series X. I understand that a lot of the problems that people are having are on PS4 and Xbox One, and you know what? That's quality control shit. Like, that's. I'm not saying they shouldn't have sold that. Point
Should have
blank.
played on Stadia, but you know.
I'm saying, yeah, you know, but
Sad times. That was
You know,
this year as well. That was this fucking year as well.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a
damn, it's been a
Goddamn.
long year.
yeah.
Been
But
awful,
anyway,
yeah.
there's a lot to say in scale and scope and expectation, and then talking about Cyberpunk, how far it's come through updates and
Yeah,
expansion.
that's a really good thing to touch on, which I will go back to the scope size, but you're totally right.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 had this huge city that was utterly underutilized.
Yeah.
Phantom Liberty has a far smaller area that is heavily utilized in the DLC story and the
Okay.
it's far tighter, and it's just like, that's awesome, you know. And that's my point, I guess, was just that, you know, and I think one of the game series that's really done is the Yakuza series is an open world title.
Yeah.
It's infinitely smaller maps. But people sink hundreds of hours into it because that is jam-packed, and the budget of those games, again, are a fraction of what's being spent on modern AAA titles, even though they're cinematic, ridiculously cinematic, but they are. You know, the budget for those games is far less than they are for other AAA titles, and I think that's the key thing. Going back to it, some of the biggest successes this year have been narrower scoped games.
Yeah.
Things like Armored Core, narrower scope than, you know, huge thing. Super Mario Wonder, which I want to touch on, was an absolutely brilliant game. You know, excellent if you're into Mario. Really inventive, really fun. Not huge. Again, budget-wise, it's probably a fraction of the big ones. Phantom Liberty, I know that obviously is a smaller scale game, probably one of the best gameplay experiences, the best storyline in the game, in my opinion, personal. But you know, it's kind of, you know, coming back to it, and it's like I mentioned, Final Fantasy 16 was a great game, far too bloated, like absolute terrible side content, amazing story.
Do you have
But-
any thoughts about that team being disbanded? I know there's some people saying that that's perfectly normal for a team to get disbanded and redistributed throughout a company after a game's release. Once you're done development, that's kind of what happens. And then there's people saying that's part of the layoff waves and stuff like that. What do you have thoughts?
It's a difficult one from what, because I read that story and I'm like, finished Final Fantasy 16, and I will say that it's got an ending. It ends. You know, it is a contained story. It's not a setup. You know, it's got an ending. I don't want to spoilers,
Beginning, middle,
but
and end.
it's got it tells the story it wants to tell, and it's done. And I think I admire that, because it's not like, you know, there's no kind of wink to the camera that goes next episode. You know, when you to get to the rest of the story, you will walk away, and they're bringing out a couple of bits of DLC, but they're more like, you know, side content kind of quests that you go back to and play, which is cool. It's got a complete story, so I totally get that. Yeah, you've done Final Fantasy 16, you've done this world, great. Move on to the next project. Give me something new again. But yeah, or is it being sexed up as that? But actually, it's a case of, well, actually, we've disbanded the 16 team, and these guys are going to go on to other projects / the bin, you know, indirectly. You know, that's the thing, because you can't really trust any of the news. You know, it could be like, oh, these guys are going to go work on Final Fantasy 16 or whatever the next, or
The people in the studio know, and
yeah. Or it could be like, okay, we're disbanding this team because it actually cost an awful lot of money, and not enough people bought it because they spent, again, $200-300 million on a single player Final Fantasy game that's got a far more niche appeal to people. It's not going to have broad appeal.
And it was only released for one platform.
Yeah. And I know it'll come out on PC eventually,
well, you know what?
etc. But you know.
I've thought on this too. I thought about buying it on PC because better PC than consoles. But two things: one, obviously it's not on PC. Two, Final Fantasy 15 burnt me, and I remember that, and I'm not willing to put myself through that for 16. On that, I actually enjoyed Final Fantasy 15's game. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the way that they released their DLC and then bundled it with Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, and then added specific content to that you couldn't buy externally.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt like, so you're pretty much saying, fuck you as a customer if I don't want to re-buy your game. So now I don't want to buy 16 because they're going to do the same thing, and I don't want to get burnt again.
And again, this thing with this guy, you don't know. From what I understand, they're not doing that. Yeah, I completely understand your point, and the reason why I like Final Fantasy 16 is it's there's no clearness in there. The story, there is no attempt to milk it, which I like. But at the same time, flip side, looking at Final Fantasy 7 remakes, etc., I don't have that confidence on that side, because they've said it's going to be 3 games. Is it going to be 4 games? Is it going to be 52 spin-offs and DLC, etc.? So far, they haven't done that. But yeah, it's a legitimate one, which is, and I think this is kind of segueing back to the negativity, is that I think customers are becoming a bit more savvy to a lot of this rubbish across the industry and going, you know what, I'm just not going to bother. I've been burned before. Like Disney, I'm not going to bother going. I can't see 52 million TV series to catch up with Marvel. I'm not interested. This film wasn't very good. This film wasn't very good. This wasn't great. This, content stuff for that. Yes.
Because that's I think kind of part of it is, if customers are wisening up a little bit, and people look at, and not that Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red has ever really had an issue with this, but selling like complete and full expansions, not bullshitty little tidbit DLCs. Like, you get what you pay for when you buy a CD Projekt Red expansion, like Blood and Wine, Phantom Liberty here. Yeah, like it's meaty content, and they're not just drip feeding you this. And I kind of wish, you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. I mean, you guys personally, maybe not Nerdy Paradox here, but like, the days of, specifically, you guys have heard me talk about like the Blizzard ones, like Frozen Throne with Warcraft 3, like Brood War with StarCraft, like meaty freaking expansions that we don't really get much of anymore. And I'd love to see us return to that, as opposed to like Destiny selling us fucking cut content that should have been part of the original game, like.
And I'm kind of hoping that studios and publishers wake up to that, because there has been some good examples of good DLC this year. Obviously, Phantom has been like probably the best one, but as I just said, I haven't got a chance to play it yet. But the free expansion for God of War, which adds a roguelike mode, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
but also an ending to a further addition. It's not just a kind of I'll play this for a bit just to bring you back to the title. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, there's more character development, and it focuses and it ties these games to the old games. Brilliant. That's Resident Evil 4 remake, it's DLC, which I bought for like £6 or something. Again, a complete story,
The
4 or
Ada
5 hours of content. The Ada one, yeah, it's a full
Yeah,
story, which harkens back to the original stuff. Is like, cool. I'm happy to do that. What are you buying? I'm buying this story for this amount of hours. Great.
Yeah,
It's got a point to it, and really, really good with that. Because with
feels pretty decent.
yeah, exactly. Full stories, full campaigns, something in there that adds something just different to it. And I'm happy to go back to games for that. Horizon, Forbidden West, Horizon.
Expansions.
That expansion story was a huge amount of content, but a full end-to-end story, which was great, and it built on what you'd already learned in the part of the game as the base game. It had some epic, set pieces in it. Again, I spent, I think that was £15 or $15, but it was
Worth
15, 20 hours of good solid content if you like the original base game. And I just wish, and hopefully the studios are getting the answer that is you will get big sales, like Phantom Liberty got
We'll show up
huge
for
sales.
that. Yeah.
People will show up for it in droves, and it isn't clearly Capcom do a good job of that with a lot of their expansions and stuff like that as well. To be honest, like the Monster Hunter
Capcom's been on a
expansions
bit of
and
a
stuff.
roll lately. Like people are calling it the Ray Renaissance, the Resident Evil Renaissance. Yeah. Well earned. Hey,
Get out.
since 7, they've been
It's
on a
been
roll.
stuff like the VR update for it, supporting VR, awesome. It's like great because there's a reason for people to go and buy that title now they didn't have. It's really cool. So, but at the same time, we had all the examples this year. So yeah, segueing back is just that, I think consumers have, and it's been a tough year financially for a lot of people over the last year or so. I think people are more savvy. They're just saying, I'm not taking a punt on this game based upon your track record.
Well, you focus on the necessities and you cut out the things that.
Yeah,
you don't
totally.
need. For stuff on that for a lot.
And they're going to turn up to good stuff. Like people turned up to the cinema. People said cinema's dying. People turned up in their bajillions for Barbenheimer because there was 2 quality films that didn't require a 14 TV series before it to watch that were entertaining and created an event. People want to spend their money, but they're careful where they spend it.
Yes.
And that's the thing, innit?
That's very.
I mean, I spend it on handhelds. That's my problem. But that's.
Yeah, that's one of your problems, really. Just one of them.
Those are the legal problems I've got. The illegal ones are the real issues.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about them, really. I told you, I'm not going back on the list just for you, mate. I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
Okay, man. I thought we were tight in mind.
Well, got a family to look after now, don't I? So yeah. Shall we say shit? But hopefully, the powers that be will see that the bottom line's not really that nice this year. So hopefully, there's a silver lining.
This podcast, they're watching this.
They better be.
They're
They
here.
fucking better be.
I was gonna say, you know what I want to say? Do better.
Bobby.
Let's hear
No,
Bobby.
Bobby, don't you do. Bobby, you
Come
just,
here, Bobby. Come here, mate. Come
Bobby,
here.
just cease existing.
When you move
That was
on
right.
from
Yeah.
Activision, you do better now. You
Strauss, Eves Gilmore, another. So I got Rockstar.
Here's what I'm
No,
going to say.
I got 2K. I got Ubisoft. I need another knobhead.
Andrew Wilson.
hear? No, wait,
Andrew Wilson.
Okay. Give us a three.
Wilson.
Just do better. Do it.
And just a personal message out to Big Boy Bobby. Take some of your payout and literally with the money you've got for a year, solve world hunger. Just do it. You can afford it. You can solve world hunger just for 1 year. No one goes hungry. You've got the money to do that. Just give it a go. That's one way to get people to erase all the horns they've drawn on your picture.
Think of the children.
Thank you. Think of James's newborn child. He could do with a few $1 billion. Just so.
Yeah, he has cost me a lot in formula, little punk. You little
Exactly.
punk.
They eat a lot. They need nappies and
Little shits. So yes, I feel there's a nice place to end. We didn't necessarily touch on all of this shite that happened in the past year. Lord knows we could have delved a lot deeper the day before anyone. Am I right?
Mhm.
Am I right? No, fucking.
I mean, literally, as we came on today, again before Christmas.
Yes, yes.
Tiny Build
Two
have
things
just-
about that.
yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that.
Tiny Build have just got one of their publishing divisions. I've forgotten the name. I'd be really sorry for being.
No,
terrible.
Tiny Build's the publisher.
Tiny Build's a publisher. Have
Yeah,
got rid
they-
of one of their divisions because it wasn't performing.
Yeah.
And just told everyone day before Christmas Eve, you're out.
Yeah,
You know, again, despite several $1 million of investment from Atari.
yeah.
So, yay! Exactly.
Yeah.
It's happening right up to the end of the year, and it's going to keep happening into 2024. But come on, do better.
Yeah. So, Jeff, for all your parading around that the industry's great, and oh look, Game of the Year. And E3 died officially this year, and we forgot about that. We didn't even touch on that. That's
That's not even the top 10.
not even the top 10 of awful things that happened this year.
You know, as content creators, what are we going to coalesce around in the summer? What are our reaction videos going to be in June? I haven't got any.
Fire Festival. No, that was shit as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, get trapped at Fire Festival.
Oh, shit. Yeah, anyway. So, we'll conclude things there because, it's been an hour-ish of us rambling on about shite, which is always fun. And if you've enjoyed what you've listened and watched, if you're watching those here on our fair little channel, please do consider giving us a like and subscribing and clicking the bell. Or if you're on another platform, do the appropriate things wherein you can follow us for more good content. Hopefully, this will be the start of a nice, warm, welcoming friendship, companionship with us and you guys. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think we all need a bit of friendship now and again. Yeah, that'd be nice. I, of course, have been James Raw. Rudy?
I've been Rudy Manchego, aka Chris, if anyone follows me on different socials. Yeah. And it's been a
Chris?
pleasure to join you fine fellows as well.
Who's Chris? That's all I want to know.
I've been Mike, otherwise known as Squiddy P. Hello, everyone. Goodbye.
Am I the
Always
only
good to
one?
go out on a high.
Am I the only one who didn't do my real pseudonym? Right. Yes. If you'd like, AKA, never mind. If you'd like to get in touch, all of our socials can be found in the link just down below this video, or wherever you're watching, listening to this. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now, everyone.